Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's a red Sunday, the 5th of November, 2023. Yesterday, the 4th of November 2023, SADC held its head of state summit in Luanda, Angola. The communique that we have seen did not speak about the Zimbabwean elections. The expectations from the opposition ranks was that the head of state summit was going to direct Zimbabwe to have a rerun of elections under its supervision. We said previously in this platform that this was not going to happen because Zimbabwe is a sovereign state. Already in the virtual summit, which was held, I think, on Thursday, the president of Angola congratulated Zimbabwe and Eswatini for holding what they call democratic elections. Again, yesterday on the 4th of November 2023, the High Court, which was approached by CCC to overturn the recalls of about 15 or so legislators from the Zimbabwe National Assembly. The case was dismissed. According to those that have read the judgment, some of us who have not really read the judgment, is that the judge says CCC was not in court, but it was individuals who were recalled that were in court. In other words, the recalling of those members stands, and it appears based on the judgment yesterday that Wansengezo Chabang, who claims to be the interim secretary general, is now in charge of CCC. Last weekend, on the 28th of October, as we have already discussed in this platform, the Zimbabwe Communist Party was denied the right to launch the Red October in Kwekwe. We thank you for the solidarity that you have been giving us. But what we want to raise with you, comrades, is given all this that is happening, how should the Zimbabwe Communist Party respond? We are preparing for our Congress in August 2024. And the theme of the Congress is Build Zimbabwe Communist Party, Build a Mass Movement. But there are two schools of thought on the building of a mass movement in Zimbabwe. There are comrades who see the Zimbabwe Communist Party as a party that must carry the mandate of leading Zimbabweans in the elections in 2028 as an alternative. There's another school of thought which says the Zimbabwe Communist Party must remain as a vanguard of the working class and the peasantry, but build a mass movement that will be in alliance with the Zimbabwe Communist Party. This is what is being discussed in our structures, and we invite international communism to assist in this discussion, because it should not be a ZCP discussion. It will be interesting to hear the views of the comrades from the Communist Party of Swaziland, Communist Party of Kenya. We met with the comrades from the Communist Party of Kenya to understand their own condition, because in the last Kenyan elections, the Communist Party of Kenya did participate in the elections. And the issue that we're discussing with the comrades from Kenya was what is the character of the Kenyan Communist Party? How does it recruit its members? Because an election on its own, it's about numbers. It's about recruiting mass of the people. In the case of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we have two-tier membership. The first is that every person joining the Zimbabwe, who wants to join the Zimbabwe Communist Party, must apply. This application takes about 6 months or so for one to be admitted as a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. In the 6 months, a comrade is expected to undergo political induction. And if the political commissars are not happy with the performance of a comrade, they will extend. There are a number of comrades who have spent 8 months to a year still undergoing induction in what we call a candidate membership. Those are not members of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, but they are applying to be members of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. And of course, you then have members of the Communist Party in good standing, those that will have gone through the induction and graduated to be members of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. So we're raising this question with the comrades in Kenya to say this is how we as the Zimbabwe Communist Party recruit. Now, if we follow the manner in which we recruit, where every comrade, because we don't just recruit, is put through induction, for us to build a communist party that would be able to contest an election in 2028, it will mean we have to break our own rules and simply allow everyone to be a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. And we also borrow heavily from the discussion that happened inside the South African Communist Party in 1991 when it held its first congress after the unbanning of the liberation movement, where Comrade Gwala and Comrade Cronin had written presented two arguments, and is captured in the publication of the SACP, which we have been looking into. So it would be interesting to hear on this question what the SACP comrades who want to participate in this discussion think in terms of us in Zimbabwe, whether Zimbabwe Communist Party must remain as a vanguard of the working class. Comrade Blade Nzimande once said the SACP is not a mass communist party, but it is a large party. I understand it has about over 300,000 members. And for us, this is of great interest as communists in Zimbabwe. To say if the South African Communist Party has over 300,000 members in its ranks, and understanding that a communist must influence at the very least 1,000 people in society, what is the influence of the SACP inside the ANC-led alliance in terms of policy? To what extent will the SACP influence the ANC manifesto to reflect the views of the working class and peasant in South Africa, without ANC producing what will appear a neoliberal manifesto, which critics say ANC is captured by what is called the Stellenbosch Mafia. So to what extent does this large communist party in South Africa influence ANC branches to adopt policies which the communists and the workers would agree with? This assists us as the Zimbabwe Communist Party to say, how do we resolve the Zimbabwe question as we are engaged in a dual struggle in Zimbabwe? So the comrades in Kenya, because they themselves were a social democratic party, they had formed a social democratic party, later on then it transformed into a communist party, carrying the entire membership of the social democratic party into a communist party. So it's like basically saying the MDC, as it were, as defined as a social democratic party, then transformed itself into a communist party, carrying itself with all those structures. So it was an interesting discussion that we had with the comrades from Kenya. And we continue to have these discussions for us to understand. So we invite you, comrades, as we finalize our discussion documents on how should the Zimbabwean Communist Party, or put it differently, given all the challenges that we have in Zimbabwe, a weak opposition, we have already spoken about the recalls, and the more recalls are going to happen. What should be the task of a communist party in Zimbabwe? Should the communist party lead social formations in Zimbabwe and be on the ballot in 2028? I know comrades in the Communist University will say we are now trying to turn a communist party into an electoral-based political formation. It is an electoral-based political formation that speaks every time about an election, is always preparing for an election. And this is the danger, that as we have this discussion, we might, as a communist party, find ourselves becoming an electoral-based party. And what does it mean? So it's important that, comrades, you share your views. Please write in the comment section. I am Mabuto Nicholas Mapena, General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok, please do follow us. Amandla, comrades.